All right, hey, this is LaNee Javet, CEO and founder of CulSire.com. I am sitting here with the Dr. Boyce Watkins. Dr. Boyce Watkins, we've already been talking for a while, but how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. My voice is gone now because I did all that talking and you weren't even recording. That's all right. That's all right. That's all good. Don't worry about it.
The beautiful thing about Blab is we can get started. So we can get started early before the actual Blab time goes live. And so I like to get here a little bit early just to make sure I'm here on time. You know, Black people, I like to be on time so that when people start coming to the Blab, I'm here. So that's why we started kind of, chit-chatting a little bit early. But we are recording now. So I know who you are. The people know who you are. What they don't know probably is how we know each other. So I will say, I'll tell them my 2 pieces, my 2 cents. You tell them your 2 cents. And I'll say that last year I was doing a crowdfunding campaign looking to raise $10,000 for CulSire. And I was scrambling, trying to figure out how to get people to help me. I needed somebody to notice me, somebody to pay attention to what I was doing as an up-and-coming entrepreneur. And I reached out to a lot of different people because, I think outside the box. So I'm thinking, who can help me? Who cares about the Black community? Who cares about other people? Who's an entrepreneur? Who will feel my pain? And I reached out to you. And not only did you feel my pain, but you took me under your wing as well and started nurturing me as an entrepreneur. You gave me, you honored me with letting me be seen on your platform. You mentor me. You helped me to create my first course, on the Black Business on the Black Business School for other entrepreneurs that are doing crowdfunding. And it has just been an honor and a pleasure to have known you for over this past year. So when we were talking about Blab and what Blab is and the fact that you hadn't been on it yet, and I said, well, you're not going to get on Blab without me. I need to introduce you to Blab. I need to be the person that introduces you to the world and tells them what Blab is and et cetera. And so that is how we got here today. That's my 2 cents of the story. How would you say how we got here today?
We were having a Tea Party convention at the gun range with Mitt Romney. And I'm kidding. I'm being silly. You know what? From my perspective, I remember you reached out and you told me about CulSire, and what impressed the heck out of me was that you actually raised $10,000 in 30 days, with a crowdfunding campaign. And what that really said to me is that, okay, this woman has determination. And that's a big part of the magic formula for success. Is just that willpower, that heart, that desire. And so to me, that's what kind of made for an interesting conversation, because I like to peer inside the mind of people that do extraordinary things. When you show that kind of commitment to something, that right there puts you in the 1%. And so the story was kind of interesting to me. And then at that point, I just kind of watched how you were operating CulSire. And I just, you have excellent organizational skills, tremendous leadership skills, a great vision, a value system that is highly respectable and commendable. And so when I was doing the Black Wealth Bootcamp, and I needed someone to kind of support certain things we were working on, you and I were talking, and I was like, so what, do you have any extra time? And I was thinking about, working on a consulting capacity or something like that. And it turned out that you had enough time to come in and work with us all the time. And I was like, oh, that's great. Because a lot of times it's not easy to find, smart, competent people to work with who are determined, who can solve their own problems, who agree with, who have value systems that make sense, or at least for me, because the thing is, I believe in the power of money, but I don't worship money, so it's kind of like, people that are overly corporatized. I'm not I don't know how to respond to that. Also, I believe deeply in Black independence, so if if a person comes in and they're talking like all this stuff about, like, oh, we can only survive if we get these corporate sponsors, or if we get money from the government, or if we get, we sell things to white people. It doesn't mean I wouldn't consider it. It just means that that's not so much of interest to me, because I really think that we need true Black power and not borrowed power. In the Black community, so many of our, so-called successful Black people, in many cases, they're just propped up Negroes. They hooked up with the right, white person, maybe a network, or, maybe a network gave them a show, or a record label gave them a deal, or a movie studio gave them a film, and suddenly they're famous. But the question is, how much of that did you build on your own? How much of that belongs to you? how much of that can you pass to your children? If you can't answer those questions effectively, then, I'm not particularly sure how I can really vibe with what you're doing. I'll congratulate you, but I don't know if I consider that to be as powerful as like the single mom who raised $10,000 in a crowdfunding campaign so she could start CulSire.com. That to me is far more impressive than somebody who just went to Hollywood and got lucky.
Absolutely, and I mean, I'll take that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think one of the reasons why, well, today, I know why I started, or I adored you back then, but one of the reasons why I love dealing with you and being on your team now is through the Black Wealth Bootcamp is because we share that passion of wealth creation, wealth building in our community through entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. Right. So we're both very passionate about the Black community, about Black businesses, and especially right now in this time in this season, as we're heading into the holidays, we know that money is going to be spent. In 2013, $57 billion was spent over the Black Friday holiday weekend. I don't have the stats on how much of that was spent with Black businesses, but I can guarantee you it was not enough money spent with Black businesses. So that's why we decided to have this conversation today. We want to talk about reclaiming those funds, reclaiming that money, retargeting the money that's spent with others outside of our community, and how impactful that could be if money were spent with us. I've been seeing a lot of boycott Black Friday, boycott Black Friday, boycott Black Friday, and I agree to boycott Black Friday, but what I'm not seeing enough of is, if we're going to boycott Black Friday, who are we going to support? Where are the Black businesses? Who's going to step up to those businesses that we support from the perspective of targeting our money? So what I actually pulled out a stat, because I do pay attention to the things that you do. If you guys, if no one has taken the Black Wealth Bootcamp, definitely do it. I'm going to present some of these stats that Dr. Boyce gave us during the Black Wealth Bootcamp. And it was around the buying power that we have. So we have approximately $1.1 to $1.3 trillion in buying power. Dr. Boyce broke this down for us. He said that power is basically gives us the ability to either buy 1,000 NFL teams, buy 3,000 predominantly white universities, or pay the operating costs of 1.4 million charter schools, or pay Howard tuition for 50 million, or build 854,000 community centers, or purchase NBS, right, CBS, ESPN, and still have, it says $1 trillion. I wasn't sure if that was right, $1 trillion left over.
Yeah.
Or give $10,000 in small business grants to over 100 million businesses. Those are crazy numbers. What were your thoughts when you saw that buying power broken down like that?
I mean, it floored me. I mean, I didn't expect the numbers to be that big. I kept doing them over and over again because I said, maybe I'm wrong. I gotta, this is a miscalculation. The thing is that we have a lot of money, and really, the objective that we have to accomplish for ourselves is find a way to get on the same page. Find a couple of core values that we all believe in, and some big projects that we can get behind. Things that where we trust them enough that all of us might feel like, okay, I've got to give $100 to this. 100,000 people give $100. What's that? $10 million or whatever. So you can do quite a bit by getting a lot of people to just sort of pick a project or two and commit themselves to it. And I think that the concentrations of Black power, that's our avenue for strength. That's the direction that we can go, and the thing is that the internet opens the door for concentrations of Black power. What has happened now is that because of technology, we are able to come together in ways that we can never come together before. Remember, there was a reason that it was illegal for more than 2 or 3 slaves to congregate. It's because people understood that when crowds gather, things happen. They start to question things. They share information. Information and knowledge is power, which is why they don't want you picking up a book. So every time you choose to walk away from education, you are doing a big favor for your oppressor. You're making their job much easier. And so, ultimately, what I have seen is that a lot of the activism that's occurred in the last 4 or 5 years, obviously a lot of this is not just due to the advent of the internet, but, in the creative and productive use of the web. People are now saying, okay, how do I use my cell phone to do more than just get on Snapchat and talk to my friends on Facebook. There's activism occurring. There's commerce occurring. There's trillions of dollars in business being done on the web every single day. And Black people, the world used to be broken up into geographic groups and factions. Now the world is broken into demographic groups and factions. So that means that I could be in Kentucky and I can connect with someone in Alaska and someone in China, and we can work together seamlessly. I'm talking about every day, all day, 10 hours a day. I have people that I've worked with on my team for years that I've talked to 10 times a day where I've never been in the same room with them ever. In fact, you and I have never been in the same room, so right. So it's powerful to me. I mean, it's there. We haven't begun to see the opportunity. One example of that Black power that's coming from technology is in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a judge named Justice Olu Stevens. And, Justice Stevens took a really strong stand on the idea of all white juries sending Black men to prison. He said, look, as a Black man, he said, I can't in good conscience send a Black man to prison when the jury is 100% white and the community is 20% Black. This is not a jury of his peers. This is not a jury that's reflective of this community. This is not fair. So, of course, when you do something like that you're in his position, of course, the hammer is going to come down on you. And so they did. They tried to put the hammer down on him. Remember, people like to see you suffer in the dark and suffer in silence, but he didn't do that. He told the public what was going on. He told us, and we spread the word. So next thing you know, the district attorney's office is getting phone calls and emails from Negroes all over the planet. Black people everywhere were calling and emailing this guy's office, and they're scared. They're like, "What? Oh my God, what's going on?" So now, some of the, they at the very least they know that he's got some support. So that's the key. When we come together and support each other, we are very, very powerful, because not only are we capable and intelligent people and strong people, we are also people where faith is just a part of our DNA. So we're very spiritual. We believe in things, even if the odds are against us. We tend to just have a capacity to believe. So I think faith and hope and spirit can play a huge part. When you mix that with intellect and know-how and strategy, you really can't be defeated.
So do you think, this is a question I have, do you think that trust and support go hand in hand? And what I mean by that is, so, we're talking about all this money that we have, and we're pushing boycott Black Friday, we're pushing support Black businesses. Why is it so hard for us to support Black business? Is that a trust factor? Because we know that if we come together, we can do great things. We see it on Black Twitter. We see it when we get somebody fired. We see it when something tragic happens. We come together, we get on one accord, and we move mountains. But how come we don't move mountains in times of peace? Let me rephrase that. Not peace, because we're not at peace right now. There's no tragedy happening right now. But there's $1.1 to $1.3 trillion that we're giving away outside of our community. And that is a tragedy. Why can't we, shouldn't we, don't we come together and say, let's put our money over here. Let's take our money and support our community. Let's support our entrepreneurs. Let's support our businesses. Let's build our own community. So when we start talking about that, does trust impact us being able to support each other?
Yeah, trust is huge in all this. Black businesses, because we've been blocked from wealth accumulation in this country for so long, because so much of our wealth has been stolen. And make sure you know this. A lot of people think that Black people have less money than whites because white people work hard and they're smart and they make smart decisions with their money. No, actually, white people do a lot of dumbass stuff with their money. I mean, but the difference is that they have many generations of wealth accumulation behind them that we were excluded from. We have tragedies like Black Wall Street, plus the countless other tragedies that we'll never know about, where Black people had their wealth stolen from them, land stolen from them. So if anybody asks a question about reparations, first of all, that's not even a question. In fact, to me, I find it offensive that you would even speculate or somehow try to argue that reparations aren't deserved. Now, you can argue that whether or not they're going to get paid, I don't know. But I certainly think we should at least scream about it and say something about it. I'm not a believer that we can sort of make the past go away because we just act like it didn't happen and try to move forward as if nothing's wrong. Now, in terms of Black business, so what's happened as a result of this imbalanced economic the landscape that we're operating on is that you have a lot of black businesses that are in primitive stages. We don't have many of us come from families where entrepreneurship is not part of our culture. So you don't. So it comes with a whole host of problems. Number one, lack of access to capital. That's the first thing. You busted your ass to get $10,000, and I just read an article about a white woman who started a business, and her family gave her 1.2 million to get started because they thought it was a good idea. Right. And so, whites have, because they have that kind of wealth, they're able to kind of do these things. So, and operate at a level that's hard for black businesses to match, especially when you talk about multinational corporations. Tyrone starting the store on the corner, he can't really compete with Walmart right away. It's going to take a while. Walmart's getting shirts made in Malaysia for 18 cents. Tyrone can't compete with that. So that goes into the next factor, which is, your value system. I mean, you either love your community or you don't. You either care or you don't. And many of us are not trained to care about ourselves because we're trained to hate ourselves. We're trained to see blackness as a subordinate commodity. It's almost like an inferior brand. The best thing you can hope for as a black person is to wash all your blackness off and become just like white people. That's kind of what we're taught to believe. So many of us don't even understand, like, why would you even want to do business with black people? Why would you even want to, hang out with those people? Why would you even want to live in that neighborhood? I mean, really, think about that. Think about how many people in the past would brag about how they got out of the hood. I got away from my people. Now I'm with white people, and I work with white people every day. And this is Sally. She's my best friend. I mean, like that. We've always seen that as almost like a cleansing, a social cleansing. We see acceptance in the white community as advancement, when really it's not advancement. It's just something different, but it's not advancement. But we'll talk about things like we'll say, oh, so and so was the first black man to get into Harvard University. But you don't really hear white people say, well, so and so was the first white woman to get into Spelman. Like they're not trying to come near us. They're not trying to be around us. They don't see acceptance by us as a step up in society. So we kind of see ourselves that way. And because, I see myself as inferior, and you look like me, then automatically I see you as inferior. Like, why would I want to be around somebody who would want to be around me? You ever see relationships like that where people literally treat someone worse because they like them a lot, and because their self-esteem is so low, they're like, okay, if you like me that much, something must be wrong with you. Right. Yeah. And that's the relationship to me between the black consumer and the black business owner. It's a relationship that's built on low self-esteem, massive amounts of dysfunction, tremendous amounts of distrust. You hear black consumers that'll say, oh man, I can't mess with black businesses. They have an attitude and the service isn't good and this, that, and the other. And obviously, number one, it's crazy to lump millions of businesses into one category. That right there is stupid. But then number two, I'm sorry, but I just really think that if we really care about each other enough, then we're going to find a way to work with each other. I mean, there are other black businesses I can go to when I don't like the one that's in front of me. Also, the one that's in front of me, maybe they need some help. Maybe I need to go in and tell them what's wrong, or maybe I need to go ahead and support them anyway. That's the thing. I can't tell you how many trifling businesses I've given money to or overpriced products I bought from black people, and a lot of it really just came from the fact that first of all, I would say to myself, you know what? Yeah, this brother's charging me $10 for something that probably should cost $5, and I don't like it, but it's just $10. Number one, it ain't gonna kill me. Then number two, he's got, I see his wife over there and his kids, so this money is going to support a black family. So I'm gonna give him this $10 so he can buy something for his family. So, and that's okay with me, And then maybe number three, we can offer suggestions. Sometimes people take them, sometimes they don't. But that consumer distrust, I think, it can still exist, or you can still be upset about poor service. Don't get me wrong. I live on the south side of Chicago. I see all different kinds of businesses. I see some that are efficient, some, where you get to the restaurant and they act like you just inconvenience them. Like they're on the phone. Like, what do you want? Like, why are you bothering me? Like, it pisses me off. It makes me so mad. But if you love your people, you stick by your people. It's like, for example, sometimes you'll hear brothers and sisters, complain about each other, women complaining about black men complaining about black women. And I just said to, one of my friends, I said, well, you know what? I think if you love the black woman, and even if black women have frustrated you, we know black women are unique. I think if you really love black women, then you'll try to, sorry?
Unique, that's the word?
Unique, yes. unique. They're unique. Yeah, black women, black men are unique, right? Dating a black man is different from dating other people. I'm sorry. On average, I just believe that dating a black man is going to be different. Dating a black woman is going to be different because you're dealing with people who've gone through some stuff, right? So I said, look, I think if you love the black woman and you support her, then you're going to try to understand what she went through to get to this point, and you're going to try to love her through all the, the stuff that you might bump into. But at the same time, try to pick a good one, but and have faith that there is a good one in there. And then when you find her, if she does have an issue or two, because you're committed to the black woman, you will stick with that. You will see value in that. You won't sort of say, well, I'm going to go date Polly or Sally because Polly grew up in a household with two parents and there was plenty of money and it wasn't gunfire in her neighborhood. So she doesn't have the trauma that Shaniqua went through when her daddy wasn't there and there was no food on the table and two of her cousins got shot before she was 7. I mean, that's the thing. Black people go through it, so I think with black businesses, if you care about black people, you will support black businesses, even if things aren't quite right, because you have to be a part of the development, part of the progress. But then the thing is, on the flip side, you see that lack of trust from black businesses. I had to cuss out somebody recently. I will still cuss people the fuck out if it gets like that. Okay. And I had to cuss a guy out because he said something about black people that really offended me. I mean, I said something to him. I said, you know what? Hey, I have some people that I know that follow me that I think would like to support your business. So maybe I can bring you in and I can introduce you to them. And I said, look, can you give them, maybe you can work with them, give them a little discount or something. Cause with the people that are part of my clique, online, meaning my students, stuff like that. I try to make sure that whoever comes before them, that they're going to give them good service and that they're going to give them a discount to just work with them, because I'm like, look, they don't have the same amount of money. And I remember, number one, he refused to give a discount at all. He said no. He said, well, that's the problem with black people. He said, my white clients, they never negotiate the fee. They never ever have a problem with the price. But black clients, they want to ask you to cut the price and do this and do that. And then, and then I started hearing back from people that said that he was very disrespectful to them. And I remember being really angry because I said, I just said to him, I said, number one, look, I said, on average, these black entrepreneurs that I see in the boot camp that might, support your business, I said, they don't have it like that. They don't have, most of them don't have a grandparent who left them $1 million house before they died. Like, they don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank like that white guy that comes in your office might have. And I think you got to understand that. Like, so it's not because, when they ask for a discount, they're not saying, like, they're not trying to lowball you or cut you out. I mean, yeah, we know we got some trifling people out here. We know that. People that get mad if you charge $10 for anything. And I don't tolerate that either. But at the same time, if someone wants a 20% discount or they say, can you work with me? Can you, negotiate? That they're not trying to undermine you. They're just trying to figure out a way to get this done. So long story short, I was very upset with him because of that. And I think, that's kind of a consistent thing. You will have black business owners that really don't want to deal with black clients and black people. And again, I think it comes back to just your value system. I mean, if you see no value in working with a black person, then the natural conclusion of a capitalist who doesn't value blackness is to go to white people. Why? Because white people got all the damn money. So if all you value is money and all you see is green, then your conclusion will be very, very simple. So you have to value yourself, value your community, understand that we all have a contribution to make in order to make this thing work.
And to tack on that, I think it's important that you seek out good business. So to speak to some of the stereotypes we've heard, or when people group us all together, all black businesses aren't good, I'm not supporting black businesses. There are, I would venture to say, way more good black businesses out there than there probably are black businesses. Black businesses. And if you truly believe in your community and you truly want to support your community, seek out the good businesses. Make an effort. Take initiative to find black businesses that you can support. But also, to your point, we do that once we go to a business and we say, I don't like the service that they gave me. They were rude. We walk out and we leave that business sitting there, not having told them how they made us feel, or what they could have done to do better. And then we go and badmouth that business to 15 other people and keep them from having business. Mm-hmm. So that's not taking care of our own. One of the things I do really like about the Black Business Bootcamp is what we're doing there. We are trying to help black businesses.
The Black Business Bootcamp, what is that?
Black Business School. I'd be mixing up.
I know, I'm messing with you.
Yeah, what do we have? We have the Black Business boot camp.
The Black Business School houses the Black Wealth Boot Camp. So the Black Wealth Boot Camp is like LeBron James, and the Black Business School is the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. But go ahead, please continue. I'm messing with you.
But what's so good about that is we're dealing with those things. So one of the issues we're having right now with the Black Business Catalog, with Black businesses, Black entrepreneurs, is an understanding of business, like just understanding business. If you don't advertise, people aren't going to find you. If you don't spend money, people aren't going to find you. If you don't network other than walking up to somebody and handing your cart, people aren't going to find you. So there is this need for training and for learning and understanding business in our community. We can't just keep saying Black businesses do bad business and then walk away and expect for our economic empowerment, expect for our money to be shared and spread in our community if our businesses aren't doing good. But the other piece, the caveat to that is we need to talk to our business owners and let them know where they're falling short. We as entrepreneurs, we as business owners need to be able to accept criticism in the areas that we are short so that we can be better. If we always have an attitude and don't want to hear how our business isn't doing well, how we didn't meet our commitment, how we dropped the ball, how are we ever going to do better? How are we ever going to grow? How are we going to sustain our business and take it to the next level? So, I'm a stat person. I get that from you, I think. Let me read you the stat. You can play in on this. So I love entrepreneurship. So I'm always looking at the numbers, especially when it comes to Black entrepreneurs. So this is from the 2007 census. There's approximately 2 million Black-owned businesses, which we know, of which 106,824 have paid employees. Of those 106,000, they employ 921,000 people. Their payroll is $23.9 million, and their receipts is $98.9 billion. So that means 1.8 million entrepreneurs. So the remaining balance, 1.8 entrepreneurs, are solopreneurs. They have no employees. They're not paying anybody, which I would venture to say probably means, I'm just throwing this out there, that they're probably struggling in their business. If you can't hire someone to come in and help you, you're probably struggling in your business. So 100,000 businesses made $98.9 billion, and 1.8 million businesses made 38.6. How does that work? How did 2 million businesses only make a third of what 100,000 businesses made? Some of it has to do with employees. I'm sure it has to do with employees. But my point is, if only 100,000 businesses were able to employ 900,000 people, and they were able to make 3 times as much money as the bulk of Black businesses, that tells me that there's something wrong. There's something that we're not doing. We're not communicating. We're not teaching. We're falling short somewhere, whether that's in how we do business, whether that's how we relate our business. We're not investing in ourselves. What are we doing that's not allowing us to compete, that's not allowing us to be successful, that's not allowing us to manage, to run, to operate in a capacity that allows us to make money? If we can make money, we can actually turn around and hire employees. 100,000 people, they hire almost 1 million people. There's 1.9 million entrepreneurs that are solopreneurs. What if each one of those businesses could hire just 3 people? And that could happen if we spent our money with each other.
Now, the 1.8 million businesses, are those Black businesses or just businesses, period?
These are Black businesses. So again, these are the 2007 census stats. I haven't seen any since 2007. But there was 1.9 million total Black-owned businesses as of the 2007 census that people told us about. Because, there's some out there, there's some extras out there. But of the ones that they surveyed, there's 1.9 million.
Wow. Wow. I think this is very powerful. I mean, I think that, that's really where digging into what Les Miles used to talk about when he talked about working yourself out of a job, that when you become a solo entrepreneur, your first objective should be to work yourself out of your job. That means that you get good at what you do, you make enough money. And as soon as you make enough money, you learn the rule of scalability. And the rule of scalability says that, it's not so much getting rich and building a business. It's not so much about what you do. It's about what you get other people to do. And so if you listen to any billionaire, anybody that's really got, a nice sized company, that's what you'll find. You'll find that they're very good at delegation. Even if you look at a company like Facebook, I see Dwayne's asking a question about Facebook. And I'll answer that too. If you look at a company like Facebook, a lot of people think that creating Facebook by Mark Zuckerberg, that was just kind of a lucky thing. He was a hardworking kid in a dorm room and he just built something and it took off and conquered the world. And I don't see it that way. There were probably 100,000 little decisions made along the way that made Facebook into a $250 billion company. It didn't just happen because the logo was nice. There's a point where I'm sure Facebook, got to where it was maybe making $100,000 a year. And for some people, they would consider that to be success. And in fact, unfortunately for a lot of us, because entrepreneurship is not in our blood, ownership really, obviously in our blood, it's not in our culture as much as it should be. Ownership doesn't remain in our culture the way it should be. I would argue that a black Mark Zuckerberg would have been encouraged to take a job. They would have told him, they said, "Oh boy, you good at them computers. You need to go, IBM will pay you $250,000 a year." And he'd give the idea to IBM. Next thing you know, they turned that into a $100 billion company or whatever. In fact, actually, I don't know if you know this, LaNee, but a black man actually developed the technology, or he was one of the key developers of the technology that created the entire internet. And he knew the power of it back in the 1980s. He wanted to get black investors in on it so that black people would get that wealth. And he went to very prominent, wealthy black people in Chicago, mostly like the Johnson family and stuff like that. And the way the story is told, they were all just like, no, we're not going to invest in this thing because we don't understand it. And so he ended up selling the company for $5 million to a big white company. And within 4 years, the white company turned that little company he sold into a $16 billion company. And because they sold it again for $16 billion. And so ultimately, if you think about the evolution of a company like a Facebook, there was a time where the company was worth, $1 million. A lot of people would have sold out. A lot of people would have cashed out at that point. But, he held on and said, okay, now how do I get a new team that can run $1 million company and take it and make it into a $10 million company? So he got a team. They did that. They took it to the $10 million level. And then at that point, there's another restructuring that has to occur where you got to find people that can play the game at that level. How do you run a $10 million company and turn it into a $100 million company? And the crazy thing is that even at the $100 million level, they were really just beginning. They really hadn't even drilled into a fraction of the potential of what Facebook can do. In fact, I think Facebook makes, how much do they make per day? I think, is it $50 million a day or something like that? If I'm not mistaken, it may actually be more than that. But anyway, so as you're building your company, you've got to learn how to play the game at the highest levels. You get mentors at higher levels that can teach you about the power of delegation. In fact, what I had to do to get rid of my own slave mentality, because I'm used to working like a slave. I grew up in an environment where I kind of felt that if you want to make more money, you just work harder. You work longer hours. You put in more time. And then I realized, no, it's not about how much time I put in. It's about, how well my ideas are executed, how strong my system and processes are, what kind of team I put around myself. So I literally started implementing what I call the no hand rule, where I would literally say, okay, I'm going to get this done and do nothing. It's like I went from as a young person learning how to work harder to now getting to the point where I'm trying to focus on working less and focusing more on putting people in place to get things done. Because if you don't, what'll happen is you become your own bottleneck. You become your greatest enemy, because if you suddenly walk out the street and get hit by a milk truck and you're gone, then your whole company's dead. And you don't want to have an operation like that. You want to have a company that's going to exist long after you're gone, when you're not there, all that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of the things I'm passionate about right now. I know me and you've been talking about, LaNee, when are you going to make a class? When are you going to put a curriculum together? And I actually know I want to teach and work with entrepreneurs in the Black community on going from running a business to operating a business and what that entails. Like, that's what I see us doing a lot of. We're literally running in our business. We got to run over here and do this, run over here and do that. And we're wearing ourselves out. And then when it comes time to actually do something to be productive and positive in our business, we're tired. We don't have the finance. We don't have the funding. We don't understand it. We don't get it. And our businesses fail that way. Like, they're going to perish if we just keep running them into the ground repeatedly over and over and over again. Just the understanding of business. So, okay, so I know we talked about business. So let's talk about the reclaiming the wealth. So we know that we see where we're struggling at in business. We know that we're going into the holiday season, and we know that we have to support businesses. So if we had to go up against the stereotypes, you kind of hit on it a little bit, which is we know that we know that every Black-owned business out there is not bad. So you can't use the excuse, I'm not going to support Black businesses because Black businesses suck. Well, that's not every Black business. So during the season, if you're going to boycott, that's fine. Find a Black business that does good business that you can support. Everybody got a t-shirt. Somebody selling that black soap you like. Somebody got lipstick, jewelry, earrings. Those are the things that you can support. Those are the things that you can buy from Black business owners. You may have to go out of your way a little bit to get those things, but those are things that you can do. Do you have any other ideas for people that might be helpful and or creative, or just I really want to make sure that people understand it's not about just boycotting Black Friday, because I keep seeing that, and I can't go into every group and say stop saying boycott Black Friday if you're not going to say shop Black.
Yeah, I think
the biggest black eye is going to be if they lose money and we make money. If all you do is cause them to lose money, but we don't generate any wealth in our community, was it really a win?
I think that it'll, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think it's ever productive to just talk about what you're against. I mean, you've got to talk about what you're for. I mean, that's important too. I think, positive activism is always better than negative. And when you talk about Black Friday and supporting Black business, think of it like voting, like a more effective version of voting. I mean, when the Democrats are trying to run for office and they go into Black churches and they'll say, those Republicans, they don't want you to vote. Or they used to kill you to take your right to vote. So what happens? We see a candidate we like. We all go line up at the polls. We all go vote, and then the politicians don't do anything for us. But whatever, it's fine. I think voting is fine if that's what you do. But a more effective way to vote would be to vote with your money. Think every time I pull out $1, I feel like I'm voting for something. And so if I give my $1 to Walmart, I'm voting for Walmart. If I give my $1 to a Black business, I'm voting for a Black business. And I can just tell you, it's it's something that I think just has to enter into our consciousness. I think it's something that we get better at every single year. I don't think that Black people are well versed in the fact that the world kind of runs on economic warfare. Economic warfare is built on massive amounts of protectionism, where people take care of their own. Asian communities take care of their own because it's part of their culture. You go set your Black business up in Chinatown, watch how quickly you go bankrupt, because they will not support you, because that's part of a very strong indoctrinated cultural norm that they have, because they know that protecting their money is critical for their survival. You go to other communities, Indian, Arab, whatever, Jewish, same thing. You see the exact same thing. Also, you see it in terms of education. I remember when I used to ride, I used to go to this little bumpy private school when I was a kid for about 2 years. It was a horrible experience because I was the poorest kid, the only Black kid, and it was just, I was fighting every day. But I remember some of the Jewish kids used to get off the bus and go to Hebrew school, and I was like, "What is Hebrew school?" And come on.
Can you turn down your microphone just a smidge? I'm getting some of the people are getting a small echo. Just a smidge.
Is the echo gone?
The echo's still there. You guys okay out there?
Okay, I'll talk. Let me know if you still hear the echo.
Okay. Sorry about that. Gave you the Baptist finger.
Oh no, that's okay. That's what I needed. Just don't give me the other finger. But yeah, so I remember I would see the kids get off the bus and go to Hebrew school, and I remember that was Nikki said it's loud as fuck. That's funny. Okay, well, but then somebody else says that they didn't have a problem. So okay, got you. All right. So So I remember they used to go to Hebrew school, and that's when I started learning how the Jewish community, they protect their children by educating their children as well. So they do two things. They prepare a nice economic bed for them, so they're not going to have to struggle and start all over every generation. And then two, they form a nice educational bed that's not just built on learning, math and English and science. It's built on learning their culture, learning who they are, what your obligation is as a Jewish person in this world, and giving them a choice and understanding, what matters in the world. So for us as Black people, we need the equivalent of that. We need to educate our own kids in addition to the school system. We also need to lay an economic bed for our children by nurturing and building our own businesses. So I just think that, in general, as Black Friday comes, that is our opportunity to make a statement, but not really so much a statement to other people, but really a statement to each other, to ourselves. I love you. I support you. I'm with you. We're in this together. You're going to quit your job. You're running away from massa just like me. You left the corporate plantation. It's okay because we're together in this. I'm going to buy from you. You buy from me. We have economic fortification. That's what you call it. That's what we talk about in the Black Wealth Bootcamp, economic fortification. What I found, LaNee, was when I quit my job and I was going through all this hell, again, suffering, in the dark, I didn't suffer in silence, but I felt like it was like me against the world, that kind of thing. And I was prepared to try to fight the world. But when I found out there were other people in it with me, it made it a little less intimidating, a little bit less, stressful. So because what happened was I got a group of Black entrepreneurs, maybe 6 or 7 of us, and it was like we have a little community, a little colony, So people, I've had other entrepreneurs call and say, I had a really bad month. Can I borrow some money? And I say, sure. We've had times where we've had to get financing from other people. We've had times where we formed partnerships and said, oh, well, you're selling this product. Maybe we can do an affiliate relationship. We'll present it to our audience and I'll get a percentage. You and I've done that kind of thing. So that kind of trade, that's trade. When there's trade and commerce, that's when communities flourish. London became the first city in the Western Hemisphere to have more than 1 million people in it. The reason is because they had the Thames River running through London, and people will come through the river for trade and commerce. So when there's commerce, there's prosperity. So basically for Black people, we need 3 areas. We need 3 key markets to be developed that will allow us to have enough trade and commerce so that all of us can quit our jobs and have a place to go. Number 1, we need a market for capital. We need the ability of Black businesses to go to a market to raise money from other Black people and Black companies. And we need places where other Black people and Black companies, venture capitalists, can invest their money in Black businesses that need that money. Number 2, we need a market for contractors, a market for labor, a place where people can go there and find jobs working for other Black businesses, and places where Black businesses can go get qualified employees. Number 3, we need a market for customers. When you make the product and you got the financing for the business, you need a place to sell your product. So we need marketplaces where customers will come and buy, and because they believe in the vision, and businesses will come and sell because they also believe in the vision. We get those 3 markets, then what happens is when you're the Black entrepreneur who's highly skilled and you went to Harvard and all this other stuff, and you say, you know what, I'm going to quit my job, you've got an economy to go into. That's going to be okay. It's almost like moving from Chicago to Seattle. You move to Seattle, if you're a dentist or something, or a carpenter, you don't go to Seattle thinking, oh my God, I wonder if they need carpenters in Seattle. I wonder if there's any work for carpenters in Seattle. There's work for carpenters in Seattle because there's work, because every city kind of has its own economic infrastructure. That's what we need. We need that. That's a Black Wall Street. That's what a Black Wall Street looks like.
And I think, to all of those points, that's basically what we're doing with the Black Business Catalog. We saw the desire, we saw the need. There are people out there in the world that see the value in doing business with Black businesses. There are entrepreneurs out there that deliver on time, that meet their obligations, that provide a good service, a good product. And they can't find customers to sell to. So if you're out there and you do good business and you're looking for customers and clients, where do you go? And if you're on this side and you're a consumer and you want to buy Black products, how do you find them? And so for the holiday season, that's why we created the Black Business Catalog. We said, you know what? We need to create a platform where entrepreneurs and Black business owners that have products, goods, or services that are a benefit to the community. People are going to be buying these things anyways. If you're going to be buying a T-shirt, or you're going to be buying the same types of products that are going to be at Target or any other retailer, why wouldn't you buy from someone that looks like you? And so we created the Black Business Catalog to be that. And thus far, I don't know if you saw our new thing we did today. I put a sample out and people are loving it. I've been looking for something like this. I know that there are positive Black businesses out there. I've been looking for ways to connect with them. And even Black entrepreneurs are like, it's hard to get in front of Black people. I know social media is big. Social media is big. It's huge. There's literally millions upon millions of people out there, and we have to try to get our niche. I look at the Black community as like a niche. we have a particular market. We like certain things. I want something that has, RBG on me personally. There should be some red, black, and green. It should be a little bit fierce. It should be kind of fly. So we know how to sell to each other. We know how to market to each other. And depending on what your industry is, if you make the bamboo earrings or whatever they are, your end user is a Black person. It's the Black community. So then how do you get in front of those people? So to your point, on a place for capital, a place for customers, we have to create that place. And we decided to do that right now with Black Friday. We have to retarget this money. We have to reclaim our stake. We have to invest in ourselves and in our businesses so that others will invest in us. And so that's why we started doing this Black Business Catalog, so that we can show our community that we have great products. We have great businesses. We do good business. We deliver on time. So we can start building that trust and that relationship back up with the community so that they know that we are here. We're not going anywhere. Black businesses aren't going anywhere. We need to do better. We can do better. We are doing better, but we still need to have that support. We still need to know that our community is behind us and our community supports us. And that's what we're doing with the Black Business Catalog that I am so proud and so geeked up. I love it when I throw something at the wall and the community comes behind me and hugs me and says, thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving me an avenue to reach customers. Thank you for helping me expand my brand, because I get it. I get it from the perspective of both. I hear the disgruntled complaints from people who have done business with bad business, but I also hear the joy from people who are like, that was a great referral. Thank you for referring them to me, and you get a loyal customer. I love it when somebody comes to me and I'm like, oh my God, I just got great service from this Black business. I love that. That makes me feel good. But I also love it when an entrepreneur comes to me and says, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for giving me an avenue to reach customers. Thank you for being that light, because we don't do that. We don't support each other enough. So I'm so proud and happy that I get to be that median, that person that brings Black consumers together with Black businesses, and they are reputable businesses. They're doing something in the community. They have a commitment to community. Because if we commit to each other, I think that that's where a lot of our trust will come back. That commitment between the consumer, that commitment between the consumer and the entrepreneur. The consumer is not, I'm not the consumer's enemy. And as an entrepreneur, they're not mine. Like, we have to get along. I can't move my business along forward without them. And I need them to invest in me so that I can hire people, so that I can move my community forward. It's a relationship that we have to appreciate, understand that we need each other to get along.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and I think that what we have to also understand is that, when you think about any kind of relationship, people enter into relationships with you for selfish reasons, right? They don't date you because they feel sorry for you. They date you because they like you, and because you offer value to their life. So, I would say to any business owner, one of the things you really want to do is make sure that you know your customer really, really well. I was just sitting with my daughter and we had a conversation about the 3 P's of having a business. And I said, there were people, product, and what's the third one? Purpose, people, and product. And I said, number one, make sure you know what, why you're here, what your mission is, how to define what, your company, what you stand for. Number 2, you got to know where the people are, how to gather them, how to build a mailing list, how to do all those things. And then product is, how do you, what are you going to offer them? Once you know your purpose, and you know where the people are, what are you going to sell to them? And how do you sell it in a way that's going to make sense? And then I actually went into 7 P's. Actually, I think it was 7 or 8. I kept coming up with all these words that start with the letter P. And I think, so then we started talking about pricing and profit and psychology and process and production and all these P's. And we just talked through one by one. And so that was, a conversation that we try to have regularly, because I tell her straight out, I say, look, I'm trying to continuously play a role in helping to shape your thinking. You won't grow old wondering if what your father believes in. You'll know that that Black pride, Black ownership are very, very important. I'll say little things to her like, are you a worker or are you a boss? And she'll say, I'm a boss. and I'll say, okay, what do bosses do? Do bosses sit still or do they make moves? She said bosses make moves. Damon Dash and I teach a class called Intelligent Boss Moves, actually, and it's at intelligentbossmoves.com, and I picked that name deliberately, and it just happened to be IBM, and I picked that name because I said, look, first of all, an intelligent boss to me is different from just a boss, right? You don't want to be a stupid boss, when you're bold and brave, if you're not thoughtful and strategic in your moves, then it's not going to make any sense. But then at the end of the day, you have to make moves. You have to put things in action. And the more moves you make, the more you can compensate for your mistakes, And so I told her, I said, look, when you get out here and you're running your business, you're going to screw up. When your company starts off, you're going to do things so wrong that you're going to just be so embarrassed, and you're going to just say, oh my gosh, how could I make that horrible mistake? But you can't dwell on the mistake. A boss does not sit in the mud for very long. The boss gets out of the mud, they take a shower, and they keep it moving. And the more you keep it moving, the more you can overcome, some of those mistakes. And those mistakes transform into learning experiences that make you better at what you do. So, so I would just say that in general, the catalog, for example, which I think everyone should sign up for. Absolutely. We want to support Black business owners, but I think also at the same time, there must be a culture among Black business owners that says customer service is paramount in terms of importance. You don't disrespect your customers, and your Black ones. And it's okay, I think, to be extra nice to Black people. At least I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little biased. I love my Black people, and it's because the thing I learned is that. Because this is what happens sometimes. Sometimes people get a little cocky and arrogant. They start making a little bit of money and they feel like they can disrespect anybody. And I'll have people say that. Like I'll talk to somebody and I'll say, gosh, this guy, he bought my book and I forgot to give him the such and such or whatever. And I remember somebody said, well, don't worry about it. You're Dr. Boyce Watkins. You'll be fine. Like, who cares what he thinks? That's one person out of a million that you talk. I said, no, without these people that support me, I'm nothing. I'm here to serve them. I'm not some sort of leader who can just wag my finger and tell people what to do. No, I'm in business. I exist. I'm able to do things because of the people who support me and love me. So it is my absolute obligation to kiss their ass at every opportunity imaginable. So that's the key to me. I think as a business owner, you learn your customer well, learn what they want, be responsive to their needs, take surveys. If they have a complaint, you follow up. You just do that kind of thing. And then you'll find that those people will give you what you want. They'll love you as much as you want them to. They're not going to just support you based on charity or based just because you're Black. That doesn't. I mean, that might work a little bit, but it's not a sustainable business model. Not at all.
And I think that that's kind of not all businesses, and not even every business, but I think that that's kind of. I think that sometimes the public thinks that that's what we're saying. Support Black, support Black, support Black. And we're saying support Black regardless. So whether it's a good business or not. And that's not what we're saying. We're saying support your community, support economic empowerment, support that business so that it can do better, so it has money so that it can invest in training, so that it can invest in doing better. Support that business and telling them what they can do better, ways that they may have failed you or that they're not doing well. So support is not always a financial support, meaning $1. It could just mean, how do we help this business do better? How do we help this business grow? Right now in this season, it's financial, but even with your $1 that you give, tell them how your service was. You can still let them know, I'm spending this money with you because you're Black-owned business. And then follow up. This was great service. Thank you so much. Or it was kind of slow, or whatever the case might be. Use it as a learning opportunity. So for our entrepreneurs out there that may just be getting started in their entrepreneur journey, which let me back up. It's not even so much for entrepreneurs that are just getting started in their entrepreneur journey. So that's one area. It could be an entrepreneur that's looking to grow, or it could be an entrepreneur that's looking for capital, or it could be an entrepreneur that's just looking to get more information about being a better entrepreneur. We do have the Black Business School that has been created by Dr. Boyce Watkins. Can you tell people about the Black Business School that I am a faculty member of?
Yes, you are. The Black Business School was basically, I've been teaching at different universities for about 20 years, and it was a good experience, but I saw the strengths and the weaknesses, and I saw the opportunities and limitations. And with technology, the beautiful thing about technology is that now you can do things affordably that were impossible to do just a couple decades ago. So the Black Business School really came about because I thought about my own career. I went to school for a long time. I didn't actually get out of school until I was 31. I really thought my whole life was passing me by. I was in my 20s. All my friends were getting houses and getting married and having kids, and I go to family gatherings, and they would ask me questions like, they'd be like, you're still in school, huh? And I just remember feeling like total crap. But I wanted to have a PhD, and it was really, really hard. So things went well. I made some good money teaching in business schools. Business school professors tend to make more than everybody else on the campus. But I remember just feeling like I was missing my purpose. I remember feeling that I said, people around me are telling me that the work I'm doing that it's relevant, but if it's not affecting the people I care about, then it doesn't matter. Maybe I was tricked into thinking that one thing was relevant or meaningful when it really isn't. And so I started reflecting and thinking about who I am and what I thought would be a meaningful contribution to my community. What would actually make me proud? What would make me, feel good and be able to say, Mama, I made it, And so I realized I needed to get away from the university I was teaching at. I tried to go to an HBCU, and that was a difficult experience. I applied to a few, and it just didn't work out, because by that time I'd kind of gotten, I'd been on CNN a bunch of times saying stuff that other people wouldn't say. And, and at that time it wasn't, there was no like Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. I mean, you talk like that, you're going to get blackballed, and people, even other Black people, will abandon you and not want to be around you. So what I did was my first goal was to kind of quit the job, and I quit the job and found a way to support myself. And then I said, I really want to teach again, and I want to teach my people. And so I found on my YouTube channel I was teaching, and articles I was teaching. I would teach some people in person. And I said, maybe I should just start some sort of infrastructure that would allow people to learn in a low-cost framework. And so that was when I came up with the Black Wealth Bootcamp, which was basically a way for Black people to become financially literate without going to $80,000 in debt, like they are at these major universities. And the other thing is that Black people have unique needs. Like, we can't sort of follow the model of go to school, make good grades, and graduate and hope that somebody gives you a job. That does not work for us. I can't tell you how many college graduates, LaNee, that I know who have $100,000, $80,000 in debt and are making like $35,000 a year, can't save for retirement, can't buy a house, can't pay student loans back, and they're going to die in debt, a lot of them. And I said, that's crazy to me, and so the Black Business School came about because I said, in addition to the Black Wealth Bootcamp, there are so many other kinds of cool classes that we could teach. We could literally do what they do in these expensive business schools, what they do in the Harvard Business School. I know how these schools work, and we could do it for a fraction of the cost, and we could do it in a culturally relevant way and teach Black people what we need to know, which is not to go beg a white guy for a job. What we need to know is how to build. We need to know how to build our own economic infrastructure. So the model for the Black Business School, which is at theblackbusinessschool.com, is don't just climb the corporate ladder, build one. And and you can go there to theblackbusinessschool.com. You can sign up for free to join. Now the classes are not all free, but the price you can't show me a university anywhere where you're going to get a price anywhere near the prices that are charged in the Black Business. It doesn't even count as a price. It's like what you would spend for a book. And a lot of these universities, seriously. And we have, and the key thing in terms of, who we chose as faculty is I wanted a couple of things. One, I wanted PhDs and people that were just as qualified as what you get in a university. But then two, I wanted people that had real life experience. It makes no sense to learn how to run a business from somebody who's never run a business. It may, some of the, it's common sense, right? But you can go to a lot of universities, and two things happened when I got my PhD in finance. Number one, almost none of the professors I worked with, if I recall, had ever run a business, maybe one or two. And I took a lot of classes. I'm talking about like maybe 100 classes or something. And number two, not one single professor was Black. So none of the professors understood what I was dealing with as a Black man. None of them understood how to create something as opposed to just borrowing power from somebody else. So the second thing that we require of our faculty is that we ask is that they have some sort of relevant experience so they can really teach people how they can get an operation up and running quickly. Because that's the other thing. Black businesses have unique needs. We don't have, we have unique limitations and unique challenges and sometimes unique opportunities if we look at it in the right way. So for example, I see stories about white boys in Silicon Valley who start companies and they get $10 million to start the business and they don't have to make a profit for 5 years because they got plenty of money, right? They can live off the borrowed money for 5 years until their business becomes profitable. Amazon.com, for example, did make a profit for years, but was worth billions of dollars, in the public market. We can't do that. I'm dealing with, people that say, I quit my job and I need to start a business with less than $1,000 in capital and I need to make a profit in 3 months. Right. So the question is, how do you shape an environment, a learning environment that's conducive to that? It takes unique economic surgery, if you will, to make that happen. So the people that teach in the business school, let's say Damon Dash and I teach a class together based on his experience in terms of building Jay-Z, Kanye West, Rockefeller Records, things like that. I teach a class with you on crowdfunding because you talk specifically about how you raise $10,000 for your business in 30 days. I teach a class with Dr. Tyrus Selden on how to make a living as a writer. I see a lot of people who see what I do as a writer and they're like, how do you pay the bills? How does that work? How do you monetize a blog? How do you build your brand? How do you sell your book? How do you publish your book? How do you do all these other, so we teach all that in that class. So those are just a few things that we do in the Black Business School. So I hope everybody comes and signs up because, it's entirely authentic. It's entirely Black. And that's what it's built for. It's built for you.
I love it. Okay. So we are not finished, but I did get the message that said that there are some questions and the questions are piling up. So I wanted to kind of address some of the questions. We'll keep our conversation going. What's your time? What's your timeline? How much time do I have with you tonight?
Nah, let's go at least another 20.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, ask me again in 20 minutes and we'll see how we feel.
Okay. So let me see. I have comments. Okay, so I'm going to go back as far as I can for questions. Market for customers. Okay, let's look over here. Should blacks be fighting to be hired at Google? Hold on, let me see. Should blacks be fighting to be hired at Google and Facebook instead of working on creating the next Facebook? What do you think the path should be?
I don't think there's any particular path that you have to follow, but I think that every path can make sense if you do it the right way. So if Google will hire you and let you come in there and extract all their secrets, then I'm not going to fault you for that. I think that could be a good move for you. The question is, the thing is, it's almost like being an undercover cop. Sometimes some cops go so deep undercover that they lose themselves. They become criminals and drug addicts because they're so deep, in the game. And so the thing is, if you go and you work for Facebook or Google, go get in there, learn how these things work. I mean, these tech companies, they know some stuff. I mean, they really have some operational knowledge that is simply, precious. I spend so much time reading tech magazines and business magazines, and everybody who's successful that I see around me, my first question is, how'd you do it? I need to understand, because I know the theory. We know, a lot of us know the theory of all this stuff. I need to know the real information, the nitty gritty, how you solved every tiny little problem, real practical problems, because those bits of information, that's literally worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, for example, this is how I explain to people when they, every now and then I have somebody that'll say, well, why is your class $99 a month, right? As if that's some insane amount of money, as if they're not going to spend that taking their family to the next, Kevin Hart movie or whatever. But then I humor the question, I answer it, and I say, look, if I could have talked to somebody, if I could have spent $99 a month getting advice from somebody who knows as much as I've learned over the last 10 years, I would have done it in a minute, because I spent at least $100,000 making mistakes over the last decade. I mean, when I first got started with my business, I'm embarrassed to talk about the financial struggles that I had. I mean, there's nothing like putting thousands of dollars into stuff and then having it not work at all. Like when I was trying to build my brand and nobody cared who Boyce Watkins was, I remember hiring publicists, and publicists are horrible sometimes. A bad publicist can be horrible because they all want their money in advance, and they want like $2,000 or $3,000. So I would write this big check for $3,000 to this publicist, and then wouldn't hear from that person for an entire month. Wouldn't even return my calls. It was like, oh, I got your money now, so I'm not even gonna call you back. So those are little pieces of information that I would love to have had a mentor tell me, so I could have put my $6,000 elsewhere. So, at the end of the day, knowledge really truly is power if you're getting knowledge from the right people. Get information from people who know how to do the job, not people who just read a book about it. That doesn't work. In fact, there are some people who get rich by teaching other people how to get rich. You don't want to learn from people like that. Yeah, there are people who do that. There are people who literally build their whole brand on, I'm going to teach you how to get rich. And they've never actually built anything that made them rich. They got rich teaching you how to get rich, which is kind of an intellectual version of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Evan, I'm waiting for Evan to come in. Evan wants to come in and ask a question. There he goes right there. Hold on 1 second. Here he comes.
Oh, yeah, I'm on. There we go. Y'all can hear me?
Hey, Evan.
Hey, what's going on, Dr. Boyce? How are you?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal, man. Thanks for asking. So I got a couple of things, man. One of the things that me and LaNée kind of connect, she talked about Blab like she knew about it before I told her about it. When she wanted to represent.
Be lying.
She had about doing this on Blab, so now she's on here getting everybody on Blab. I hear that.
Thank you, Evan.
So, Dr. Boyce, I actually got a quick question for you, because one of the things that we do in an organization that I'm a part of, and I'm real good friends with Andre Hatchett as well, is that we try to promote, supporting black businesses every Friday. This is like a small step. And one of the things that I found is that it seems like we are just not black business conscious. Like when we go out to, to a store or go out to go get something to eat, it's never like, let me just go black real quick. You know what I mean? It's like a secondary thought, a third thought, a fourth thought, maybe not even a thought at all. So I'm wondering, when we think about, like, some people say, let's get a black directory together. Well, we got a lot of them. We got 50 million of them all over the place. And we always seem to operate in silos instead of operating together, like George Fraser would say to us. So what would be some of your suggestions? Or I can't even get 20 people to buy black on Fridays, even though we'll promote it all over the place. So, where can what are some things that you would say we can really start to do? I know CulSire is one where we can start to advertise black and buy black, but really getting people to first understand, the importance of it, but then actually getting them out once they're aware, getting them out there to actually act on what it is that they now are aware of. I believe you can't make an educated decision until you're educated.
Well, what I say is, it's funny. This is the third thing that's come up that I talked to my daughter about today, and I told her, I said, there's 3 levels. There's at least 3 levels of execution psychologically when it comes to doing what you're supposed to do in your life, things that you're supposed to do. I said one is knowing what you're supposed to do. A lot of people just don't even have the knowledge. They don't even know that buying black even matters, and so they just don't even know that that it's relevant. So one is knowing what you're supposed to do. 2 is deciding that you want to do it, right? So I might know that it's important to buy black, but I might say, I ain't worried about that, right? But then 3 is actually being in the habit of executing out what you say you're going to do. And that's really, that last part is the most difficult part, because that's when your habits and your subconscious start to kick in. Your subconscious controls the vast majority of your day-to-day actions, and that's where your habits exist. So it takes time, I think, to form habits. And so ultimately, just having that willpower, because you're right. I mean, you think about losing weight, how many people know they should lose weight? How many people actually say they're going to lose weight? But then how you compare that to how many people actually do lose weight? Then that's where you get the big drop off. So I would argue that it will take time to form the habit, some willpower among some of us. I think we have to put pressure on the community to remind ourselves and remind each other the importance of buying black. And then when people are ready to get around to it, they will. I don't think really we can do much more than to make it very easy to buy black, and then 2, as we're making it easier to buy black by creating catalogs and things like that and apps. we're constantly raising that into the consciousness of people, reminding them. So like losing weight, like every other day, you know, if I really want you to start losing weight, then every day I'm going to be I'm going to say, hey, did you lose weight today? Did you lose weight today? Did you work out today? Did you go to the gym? What'd you do today? What'd you eat? Why are you eating that? Why are you eating that candy bar? You know, that's not consistent with your goal. And I think that makes people think. It makes them refocus their energy, and then they form new habits over time. So some of us will get on board. Some of us won't. I don't think it's an overnight process though. I mean, you know, the brainwashing is pretty deep. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of years of cultural memory that we're trying to eliminate, and we're not going to eliminate it in a couple of years, you know, or with a couple of Facebook posts, or even in a couple of generations. I really think that it's going to be a long, steady, progression. But what I think too is there's a lot of hope on the horizon, because if you study history of any society, you'll see history occurs over hundreds of years. You know, you look at the history of any country, France or whatever, or Nigeria, you'll see periods where where things are going really well, and then things fall off for a couple hundred years, then they start going really well again. And so what we have to realize is that we are at a moment in time in a very long trajectory of history. So the most we can do right now is just do our part.
Well, we definitely are. We're definitely doing our part. The good thing is we've seen a lot of progress since we really started pushing the agenda, and so I'm really liking this conversation today because I was kind of like feeling the same way LaNée was like, hey, well, you know, it's not just about boycotting something. We're not going to stop spending money. It's just a matter of where we're going to spend this money at, and so I'm really liking what she's doing with the catalog. We're fully supporting that and trying to get more people to understand. I think what we're going to try to do is actually really show, because we talk about how long money stays in the community, but I think if we could come up with like this really show a depiction of it, a video of it, a cartoon of it of some sort, to really let not only just the adults understand it, but really start to tap into the youth and help them to understand it, because really they're the ones that's going to be leading the charge with the energy, with the innovation, and with the creativity, to make sure that they really are going to be like the Joshua to our Moses, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that it's just like when a corporation builds a brand. Like when Beats by Dre decided they wanted to get everybody to overpay for these headphones because they got the little letter on the side. It took them time to build that brand. It took a lot of resources, it took a lot of energy to get people to become conscious of this idea that somehow this little symbol actually means something. And so I think that we have to work hard to first of all, overcome the idea of blackness being some sort of negative or some sort of liability. So that's where self-love comes into play. But then you have to get into this idea of helping people just see blackness as a positive attribute of any business. Oh, it's a black business. Oh, that makes it a better company. That makes it a company I want to be connected to and to be a part of. So I think it's going to take some time, but I see a lot of progress, and I'm very, very optimistic.
Fantastic. Well, cool, man. That's really all I got, man. My last thing is I saw your it's interesting because I teach people a little bit about investing, and so I saw your post about how to buy one share of stock, and I thought it was pretty interesting because we had all through this year we've been teaching people how to buy stock for their children, how to get their children investing and starting early. So it felt like it was like this wavelength that was going down the pike. I was like, man, Dr. Boyce talking about it. We talking about it. And so hopefully we can get more people to start thinking about how to make their money work for them. And I think that's exactly what we're doing when we're talking about businesses, when we're talking about real estate, when we're talking about entrepreneurship, when we're talking about stocks. There are plenty of ways that you can learn how to make your money work for you, even if you don't start your own business. But hopefully that can be a place where you can actually invest in other businesses to help them to grow and help them to employ and do things like that as well.
Absolutely. I think that's 100% true. Every black person in America should own something. If you don't own anything, go buy you a $10, $20 share of stock. It's at this point, it would be pretty much symbolic, even though the share will grow over time. But it begins the process of just thinking about things in a different way economically. Your children should definitely own something as soon as they're born. Buy them some stock. One of the things that people have to understand is that America is a sinking economic ship, but not everybody's sinking. The wealthy are doing extremely well. The gap between the rich and the poor is greater than it's been, I think, in like 80, 90 years, something like that. And if you really dissect that gap, what you find is that it comes down to stock ownership. Wealthy people invest in the stock market. Middle-class people invest in their homes. Poor people don't invest in anything, I guess because they don't have the resources or the financial literacy, whatever the case may be. You can't say it's just the resources because, again, a share of stock doesn't cost you more than, a trip to the movies or a new basketball or a hat or whatever, So it depends on the share you're talking about, of course. Some of them are very expensive, but some of them don't cost anything at all. So I think, at the end of the day, go out and own a piece of America. If you look at America and the stock market and the economy since Obama was elected, the stock market has gone through the roof. I mean, fortunes have been made on the market, and and I'm just telling you, you got to get in on that. You don't sleep on that.
Well, cool. That's all I got, LaNee. Hopefully we can be having this conversation more, man. But we really, I'm glad to see that you got your Black Business School, and we're doing our best to educate, our people and make sure that they're able to make, informed decisions with the rest of their life and the lives of their youth and those that are following them. All right, I'm gonna lock out.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay, any other questions out there? I know it's not often you get an opportunity to actually live chat, live stream with someone. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I love about Blab is that you get an opportunity to actually sit, not just sit at the heels and listen, but actually engage and talk and ask questions. So if you want access, this is the time. Mind you, I have to know who you are. You have to have a face that looks kind of like mine. I need to see your skin. That's your badge to get in. So if you don't color skin, I'm probably not gonna let you get in the seat.
You're too funny.
Okay, so do you think data brokers are new cartel kingpins?
Data brokers are new what? Cartel? Cartel?
Yeah.
Data brokers. I mean, if you're talking about just information and data about consumers, and data mining and stuff like that, I could see there being value there because a lot of money is being made. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being made through online advertising, which is actually done more effectively than ever because you have this situation where Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, they collect all of your data and they know everything about you. They know what sites you go to, what you like to buy, what you talk about in your personal messages. And they use that to aggregate consumers that advertisers can market to. So maybe that is a way to look at it. I don't know. But data does matter. The Dr. Vibe Show. What's happening, brother?
Everything's happening. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I just hit the little button. I'm following you on Twitter now, Dr. Vibe.
Oh, thank you. I've been a follower of yours for many years, so it's an honor and pleasure to communicate with you, sir.
Well, I will be a follower of yours for many years. So what's on your mind, my friend?
I want to talk about, well, I'm in Toronto, by the way, but I do a show and I interview. I've done 1,000 interviews, so I'll just leave it at that. And it's for Black men and those who love them. So my question for you is, what is the state of Black men in economics in America in 2015?
It's pretty grim. Black males have the highest unemployment rate in America. Yep. We have the highest incarceration rate. Various forms of nasty warfare have been declared on Black men. A lot of it just starts at such an early age. We start losing our boys in elementary school. And it starts with everything from the media portrayals of Black men that lead, some of our boys to not find out who they truly are meant to be. And it's a battle. I mean, it's a real battle because, our families suffer because, when you have so many men that are astray and, when that 27, 28-year-old Black woman is looking for her husband, her options may not be what they should be. I think the war on drugs and mass incarceration played a huge role in this. There was a reason that after Dr. King was killed by the government, and this was proven. This is not speculation. Look it up. In 1990, in a trial, they proved that the government murdered Dr. King. The drugs and the guns that arrived in the black communities, it had a devastating effect on the black family. I mean, before all that happened, you had two parents in the household, for example. In most black households, now you got 72% single parenthood, in many black families, and so when the drugs arrived and the weapons arrived, what I saw was three key effects. Number one, a lot of black men were being incarcerated for the drugs and marginalized for life. They were being given life sentences. So even if you went to prison for a while, you were a felon, which means, your ability to provide economically was pretty much undermined and crippled. Number two, we were the ones being killed over the drugs. So you had not just these homicides, taking black men out of the community, but you also had the trauma of the survivors of the homicides. They had to see all this happen, that are literally living with post-traumatic stress disorder. And then three, you had parents getting addicted to the drugs. So now you have two generations down. You've got so many kids that are saying, I grew up and my mama was on crack and my daddy was never there because he was on heroin. So the drugs really it did exactly what the oppressor wanted to do, what the government was trying to do, which was to dissipate black power, black empowerment that occurred in the 1960s. They didn't want black people loving themselves and each other. They didn't want us making progress. They certainly didn't want us sticking together. Drugs did that. So now we're cleaning up from all that mess. And the black man has been the greatest, the greatest casualty of this war. He has not yet recovered.
Well, I know you have other people who want to chime in. I just want to add an additional question then. What are the instructions you're giving to black men, and I'm going to say in Canada too, because we're similar in our economies, to claim their rightful place in the North American economy?
Well, I mean, my message is real simple. It's stand up and be a fucking man. Just stop, waiting for people to feel sorry for you. Don't sit around and think that because things are hard for you, that gives you an excuse to, sit in your mama's basement in your drawers playing Xbox and smoking weed all day and you're 32 years old. No. But it takes a village, obviously. I mean, when you see an adult where their mind has been poisoned by society, they become addicted to a way of thinking that is entirely suicidal and self-destructive and harmful to those that they love. It takes a village. It takes a whole world to make that happen. When a man becomes a monster and he's 19, 20 years old, he wants to go kill people and he shoots a baby with a stray bullet, like we just had in the south side of Chicago today. That monster wasn't created in a vacuum. There's a society that creates this. And I think that if I were raising a son right now, I would just have to let him know, son, war has been declared on you. These people are not your friends. When you go to, you can go to Harvard and Yale and behave and work hard and study hard and all this stuff. And when you show up and you apply for a job at that white man's door, he's not going to treat you like he treats his own children. Now, that does not mean that you can't do commerce with them. That doesn't mean you can't even work for them at some point, but you have to have mechanisms in place that will protect you, that will give you strength so that you can still be a man in a world that wants to keep you as a little boy. The man who worked as one of the security guards for Malcolm X, he was talking about how he felt when Malcolm got killed. And he's just, he started crying. He said, why does this affect you, thinking about Malcolm being killed? And he said, because when I was around Malcolm, I had a chance to be somebody. And he said, give me 1 second. I got to regather myself. He said, I'm sorry, man. This affects me emotionally. He said, America wants to keep you as a little boy. And my belief is that, I'm sorry. You have to forgive me.
All right, man. It's all right. You can make it, brother. We're here. I know.
I don't know what's going on right now. Y'all have to forgive me. I was cutting onions earlier today. Right. Yeah, I made onions. Yeah, I had onions with spaghetti. But when you're faced with that kind of reality, that kind of grim situation, the only option you have is to man up and fight back. And you got, and the easiest way for somebody to win a war that's been declared on you is to convince you that there is no war in the first place. So you grow up as a young black man in America talking that post-racial nonsense, thinking that America is fair for everybody as long as you do the right thing and you behave. then they will absolutely crush your soul. They will destroy you. And I know so many black men that are just so lost. And the ones that are typically the ones that are lost the most are the ones that A, don't know how to survive in this economy, and then B, have somehow who've never been given a strong sense of self. And I'm just thinking of a couple examples in my head. So if I'm raising a son, I teach him a couple of things. Number one, every black child in America needs to know how to run their own business. That way, if that white man doesn't give you a job, you've got a plan B. So you can still be a man, still provide for your family. You have a choice to be a boss. It's one thing to work for somebody because you have no choice. It's another thing to work for somebody because you're choosing to be there. Those are two different things. Number two, every black man must have an empowered and culturally relevant education. You don't send your children to your oppressor's school and think he's going to teach your son how to be an empowered black man. That's not their job. They're not supposed to do that. It's not in their interest to do that. And stop thinking that they're going to do it, because they're not. And beyond that, value systems. Manhood is something that has to be taught. And what's so unfortunate is that now we're at a point where we're recycling and trying to get male role models in front of these boys, because some of these boys they're not ready. They've never been taught manhood. I mean, my biological father was not there. He was gone. I never knew him. But the man that raised me, there are thousands of things I could tell you about things he showed me just from watching him every day that prepared me for the challenges of manhood. I remember hearing my father tell stories about, when he was 23, 24 years old. I mean, young, really young. And he went to go get a job at the police department or something. But maybe he was 26. I don't know. And they said, the guy told him that we don't hire black people. We don't have any black people working here. And he said, well, we're going to make something happen because I got a wife and kids to feed. So it was his manhood that caused him to face the challenge, not to, run away and say, well, I abandoned my family because I couldn't get a job because these white people won't give me a job. No, you can't do that. A soldier on the battlefield can't sit around and get depressed and feel sorry for himself while he's in the middle of a gunfight. You pull out your gun, you keep shooting, you cry later on. Here I say this as I got tears coming down my face. So that's the point. I didn't mean to be long-winded in the answer, but I just think that the reclamation of the black man is one of the most important things we must do in this century. And it starts by us raising these boys and not letting society do it, because society is training these black men to be something that's merely a fraction of what they're meant to be.
Well, Dr. Boyce, I've been waiting a long time to ask you that question, and you didn't let me down at all. So thank you so much, man.
Well, it's great to meet you, Dr. Vibe. Now that I'm following you on Twitter, now we're officially friends, my brother. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Anything I can do to help, just ask. I'll let someone else jump in on the Blab. LaNée, thank you so much for providing this opportunity. It's appreciated and not taken for granted.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. All righty.
Take care now.
All right, Dr. Boyce, you got a couple more in here? I have a question for you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It said, in corporate America, how do you deal with assimilating Negroes? That's your question, Jonathan.
Did you see Django Unchained? Did you see what Django did at the end of the movie? shot the kneecaps. No, in all seriousness, I don't think you have to have animosity or hatred. I mean, some people just don't know, and some people aren't ready for the fight. Some people don't have the courage, and I think sometimes that's okay. And some people don't have the knowledge, right? I think about, when I first got a job, one of the jobs I had, I can't tell you where it was because I'll be giving TMI because then you can figure out who it is. But I remember there were three of us that got hired at the same time. And there was a black woman who me and the other person, we got along really well. And we just instantly click. You know how it is. You're in a room with 100 white people and there's three of you. So you find the other black people. So me and the other person, we clicked really well. But the third person, she just kind of distanced herself, and I thought it was me. I was like, well, maybe something's wrong with me. Like, I don't know, maybe she thought I was going to hit on her or something, but then later on I talked to the other person. He was like, yeah, she hasn't talked to me either. And I actually went to confront her because I not confront, but to throw it out there. And I just said, sometimes I said, we actually kind of wonder if you were actually deliberately avoiding us. And we know that's not true. So we just want to kind of talk to you about it. And so she came, she said, no, oh, there he is. Hey man, what's going on? Tell him I said hi.
I love
Hey. And and so it was kind of funny because then she literally said, well, I don't want to be seen as a person who only hangs around the Black people. And so this was a survival strategy for her to just, distance herself and kind of blend in and integrate. So I didn't talk to her for years. But eventually what happened was, unfortunately, and I didn't want this to happen, I felt bad for her, but I mean, the white people that she thought on her job were really her friends screwed her big time. I mean, screwed her big. And so she saw me on the elevator, and suddenly, years later, after years of not talking to me, she suddenly wanted to be my friend. And I was like, why are you talking to me now? Like, you didn't want to talk to me back then. And that's when, she starts telling me all these things that they've been doing to her. And it turned out that I ended up being the only friend she had. Right. And so to me, I just think that it's like, sometimes we get radicalized, we go through it, like even if you look at Christopher Dorner, that brother that just lost it on the job and, and went and was killing the cops because of the racism. Remember Christopher Dorner? And, the funny thing about Chris Dorner is if you look at his past, he was that assimilating Negro for a long time. He was one of those Black people that truly felt that if he just blended in and he became post-racial and stopped talking about race, that they would accept him as one of them. That's the lie of integration. That's the false bill of goods you've been sold, that if you come in and you just behave and you're qualified, that you're going to get the same opportunities as everybody else. And the data just kind of says that's not the case. So some people just haven't gone through it in a way that's going to radicalize them. And my argument is, I think forgiveness is okay. So when that woman came to me after all those years of not talking to me, and asked for my help, because I was the only one crazy enough to stand with her at that point, because all of her white friends had abandoned her. I stood with her as a Black woman because I understood it. Maybe she had to go through some things to kind of get us on the same page. So I didn't just, abandon her for, doing what she did. So assimilating Negroes, I think, forgive them for they know not what they do sometimes. But then sometimes some of them just, they work for massa. And my feeling is that if you're an assimilating Negro, or if you're quiet, or if you're afraid to stand up, I'm not going to have a problem with you for being, afraid. I mean, if you're not on the same page, that's okay. You don't have to do what I do. Where I do have a problem with you is if you get in the way. If you become an enemy, if you become a tool of the enemy to obstruct progress for other Black people, then we got to kill you too. Like the plantation, right? Like we all gonna revolt. We all gonna go get Massa, and you standing on Massa's porch trying to defend him. Okay, so you're officially on his team, which means we're gonna treat you just like we treat him. And I think that's just, those are the rules of the game.
All right, I'm sure he answered that question. That was actually a good answer. All right, next question from him and Dropout. He said, I would like to ask Dr. Watkins, what are some things that we can do on the local level to help address the upward mobility issues plaguing our community?
On the local level, to address the upward mobility issues that are plaguing our community, what can we do on a local level? I think that changing the world starts with changing the world around you. Changing everything that's happening in the entire Black community is kind of hard. There are 40 million people. It's a big job. Nobody can do it. I think that starting with the circle around you, being a light that other people can follow, being a light that can overcome obstacles and fight through the darkness or whatever. I think that goes a long way. I think that when you preach the gospel of Black economic empowerment, and it's just a part of who you are, and everybody knows that that's the vibe you carry, and that pride and dignity that you carry that comes with being a brilliant and conscientious and empowered Black person, I think people will gravitate to that. People will want to be like you. They're going to follow you. They're going, and when you create a business and you become successful, the children are going to want to learn from you, because freedom is contagious. It really is. And freedom starts up here, and then you become economically free, and and other types of freedom. And so what I find is that I see a lot of people that might go to the corporate plantation and want to leave, but I never see anybody that leaves the plantation and wants to go back. I don't know a single person who says, I quit my job and I know what it's like to work from home and I've been doing it for 5 years. Now I'm dying to go back to work every day and wake up in the morning and do something I hate and work around people that I don't like for a low wage. Nobody says that anymore. And what happens is you see people that are going natural. I call it going business natural, which is freedom is your natural state of existence. This corporate incarceration is not natural. This is something that was introduced in the United States about 100 years ago, and we think it's normal to spend more time with our coworkers than with our own children. That's not natural. That's not normal. So ultimately, I think that what I found is that the more successful I became at what I did, the more confident I came in what I believed, the more the more people saw that I was sort of living a free and happy life. The more people would come up and say, how did you do it? Can you show me? And it's pretty awesome. I mean, it was amazing, so because before I was trying to help everybody else, I was just trying to fight through my own situation. And I remember, not too long ago talking to my business manager, and I asked her, I said, do you even remember? We used to exchange these crazy stories about horrible things white people did to us on the job. It wasn't racist. It was just true, right? Like, and we, like a lot of black people, you sit at a table and you're talking about all these terrible things you went through. And I said, but do you actually remember the last time we actually dealt with a white man in a business capacity during the day? And we couldn't remember. We literally, and I said, oh my gosh, my life has gotten so much better because I get to work with my own people. I get to work with people I actually enjoy, and so when you do that, when you get that kind of freedom and you enjoy it and people pick up on it, they automatically want to emulate it and they want to follow that. So I say shine your light, be proud of who you are, get involved in support whenever you can. For a lot of us, that charity and that support starts in our own families. That might mean hiring people that are close to you. It might mean supporting causes in your community. Just know that you have the ability to impact what's the world around you, but you may not be able to change the entire world. That's kind of hard to do. It takes time to do that.
All right. Let me see if I have any more questions. I think that was the last question that I had. Yes, that was the last question I had. So we are coming up on the 2-hour mark. Oh, wait. You got one more. Okay. Dwayne, where's that? Where is it? What do you have for me? What's the other question? Did I miss it?
While you're looking for the question, I want to tell everybody, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, we have a Dr. Boyce Watkins app that you can get on the Apple and on the iPhone or the Android. You can download it whenever you want. And talk about building the village. My manager was going down the list of all the countries of people that downloaded the app, and it was like Czechoslovakia and Belgium and China and Nigeria, and so the village is everywhere. The village is virtual, so you can download the app. It's free to download. Also, the Black Wealth Bootcamp starts on Saturday, and you can learn about that at theBlackWealthBootcamp.com. The students love it. If you're not sure what you're going to get, go look online, look for reviews. Most of the reviews I've seen, the vast majority have been very positive. I can't think of a negative feedback I've gotten. I mean, I can't, honestly. And so go look up the reviews, check it out. And if you want to join us and be in my class, please come on in. We actually have a 2-day sale, a 2-day massive discount, because we're trying to, get the last few students in before we shut the door, and basically you get 30% off. And when you sign up, use the discount code holidays. So it's kind of like a holiday sale because the sales team wants to, close that gap up. So feel free to go check it out. It's at theBlackWealthBootcamp.com. And even if you don't do it, that's okay. I love you anyway. But, you may want to check it out. I think it's something that could be a huge benefit for those who are seeking to get off the corporate plantation. That's what we're all about.
I support that message. I've sat through the Black Wealth Bootcamp, I think, twice now, and every time I get something different. So if you want to learn about, wealth building, finances, I mean, he covers a wide realm of things. It sounds like Black Wealth, like it's just going to be wealth, but he goes around entrepreneurship, starting your business, budgeting. I mean, it's awesome. If you have it, please support it. Especially going into the new year. This is a great time to start investing in yourself and your wealth and what you're going to do for next year. So this is a great time to get involved with the Black Wealth Bootcamp. And I'm not saying that just because I'm the operations manager.
Well, it's funny. It's funny, LaNee. When I started that program, I did it mainly with the objective of saying, okay, how do I help people quit their jobs and not be homeless in the process? Like that's what a lot of us are worried about. It's not about conquering the world. It's like, I'm quitting my job now. I'm scared to death. I have no support. my own spouse is looking at me cross-eyed. My mama thinks I'm crazy because I quit the good job. How am I going to survive this? How am I going to walk away to that point of no return and know that I won't have to return? Because that was my journey. I got, because I was outspoken in the media, I was pretty much blackballed. I couldn't go work in a lot of white universities because they would Google me, and it would be bad, And so I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Like, what if this doesn't work out? And when I got out here and got that feeling of freedom, oh my God, it just, I can't describe how it feels. Just being your own boss. And we were talking about black men earlier, and I'm big on the word boss because I just feel like, especially for men, but I think for everybody, but for men, I like to see black men become bosses. I think that, those little girls, they want to look at their daddy and say, my daddy's the boss, and I want black women to be able to look at black men and say, black men are bosses, and it's not just from our tremendous, we already know we're physically, we're amazing physical specimens, in all different kinds of ways. There's nothing like a black man anywhere, in my opinion, and there's nothing like the beauty of the black woman. But it's, at the same time, some of us, when we really tap into our true potential, our intellectual, prowess, you match that with what we can do physically. We are a very, when we're focused, nothing can stop us. We literally become a threat to national security when we're unified, focused, and ambitious about what we want to be, period.
We are resilient. Like, I love that word. It's a word that's not used enough, but whenever I talk about black people, I say we are resilient. They've thrown the dirt at us. We've gone from the pit of society. And when we look at who we are, where we are today, it may not seem like it's that much or that far, but from where we started to where we are, and to have our sanity and to be sane and to halfway like each other and to try to deal with each other and to heal, we are the shit.
Yes, we are. We are the shit.
So here's the question. Dr. Watkins, at what specific point do we as black people need to reach before you think we made it? Oh, that's actually a good question.
What point do we have to reach before we've made it?
That's the question.
I don't know what it really means to make it, to be honest with you. I think it depends on what measuring stick you use. Making it it's not just financial. Money is not a destination. Money it is a tool for a more important destination, which is, living the life that you want, and having the freedom that you deserve. And so, because there are a lot of people running around here saying, "Mama, I made it." But when you look at, their lives are in shambles. Their soul has been deteriorated. They're addicted to superficiality. Their contribution to society is minimal. Just go watch Real Housewives of Atlanta to know what I'm talking about. Where you see, these people that are perfect on the outside, but just rotten on the inside. So I think that when you talk about making it success, I think success individually starts with happiness. I think that's a very vague yet specific way to describe, what it means to actually be successful. I'm successful when I'm happy. So I can't tell you how much money I have when I feel like I've made it. That's not what matters. What matters is happiness. If I got $1 billion and I'm miserable, or I'm enslaved and I'm wasting my life, then that's not success. I haven't made it to anything other than, some destination I don't want to be at. As a community, I think that we can talk about what progress means. I think progress means simply having true freedom. True freedom means that, when most of us get up during the day, we do what we're supposed to do, what we want to do with the people we want to do it with, to benefit the people we care about. Most of us, unfortunately, every day, our lives are controlled by somebody else. We're getting up doing work that we don't want to do with people that we don't want to work with. So building somebody else's dream because we don't feel like we have a choice. We're trapped in our own lives. Some of us are. So I think as a community, when we have less of that sort of trap phenomenon going on, caught in the trap, like the dope boys aren't the only ones in the trap. We're in the trap too. A lot of us corporate Negroes, educated Negroes are in the trap too. And and I would say getting out of the trap is a big part of us, making it. And it ain't going to happen in our lifetime. I don't believe that in our lifetime, we're going to wake up one day and just, the birds will be tweeting in the Black community, the sun will be shining and everything's good. And, there won't be a day where you'll open the newspaper and you won't see, that something horrible has happened in your community. I mean, it's just, it happens, right? But we're part of an intergenerational struggle. It took 400 years for us to get here, and it might take 400 years for us to get there, wherever there happens to be. So just play your part, do your best, work hard, believe in yourself, love your people. Don't be afraid, and everything's gonna be all right.
Okay, so these are the last two questions. One was, what is the name of the app?
The app, I think it's just called the Dr. Boyce Watkins app. Literally, if you go to what is it, Android or Apple or iPhone, and you just type Boyce Watkins, something will come up, and you just hit download, and it's free, and it's there, and you can have it, and I'll be. And the crazy thing is that it has my picture on it, and so my face will be on your phone. So if you think I'm ugly or something, then I apologize for that. But
it's called the Boyce Watkins official app.
Yeah, so here I am. I'm looking all serious. So I'll be in your pocket every day. So that answers that question. Is there another?
This is waiting on this one. Dr. Watkins, will you be blabbing more? Is there a set time you will blab every week?
Well, I do most of my blabbing in class. So if you want to blab with me every week, I like to blab in ways where we can, do constructive learning and stuff like that. And then every now and then I don't do in most interviews. I only do some interviews with like CNN or maybe, like the Breakfast Club. I might do something like that, or for friends, like LaNee, we work together. And so I do this as a favor to her. So honestly, I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of interviews. It's just, literally the goal is to not feel overwhelmed and overworked. But I'll tell you, in the Black Business School, I'm always blabbing every week. And I blab with my students, and we don't just blab, though. We build. We're actually in there building things and developing businesses. And we've had tons of businesses come out of the boot camp and out of the academy. So, you come over to the class. The cost isn't very much. Not only will we blab together, but I will actually blab back and forth with you, meaning I will take a personal interest in your business and a personal interest in your success. And not to say I'm not interested in the success now, but it makes it easier in a classroom setting. But, if LaNee asks me to come back, of course I will.
I will definitely ask him to come back. We'll definitely get him back in a couple of weeks or a month, or depending on how his schedule is. Like he said, he does have the Black Belt boot camp starting up. That's 5 weeks, right, Dr. Boyce?
Yep.
Okay, so for the next 5 weeks, he'll kind of be busy. So maybe we'll do something that, for entrepreneurs at the beginning of the year around getting their business going, things of that nature. So I have to say that I so appreciate you taking time out of your schedule at 9:30 at night, spending 2 hours with myself and people that love you and people that follow you and people that love to sit under you and hear what you have to say. You are definitely one of the revolutionaries of our time. You speak the things that we all want to speak. You say the things that make sense to us, that are relevant. I appreciate you. I mean, just myself. I get to talk to you on a regular basis. So, and I know I've never said that to you, but I do. I appreciate you. Sometimes I get some of my best ideas, my energy when I speak to you. The other day we were talking, when you called me and I got on the phone, I was like, yeah, I'm good. You're like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. By the time we got off the phone, I was zipping around here, doing what I got to do. My energy was up. I was ready to take on the world. But you bring that out in people. You make it cool to be Black. You make us feel good to be Black. You help us walk into the job being Black, not taking no mess from nobody. Like, you give us this badge that we get to wear with honor, and it's okay. Like that's what I think first drew me to you 2 or 3 years ago when I first started following you, was just your demeanor. It's a demeanor of integrity. It's respectful, but you are going to respect me as a Black person, as a Black man, as a Black woman. I don't have to play myself down. I don't have to devalue myself. I don't have to water myself down, and it's going to be okay.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, those are very kind words. It's an honor, and I'm just glad I can help. Anybody here. I'm so happy to be able to contribute in some small way to your success. And I just think sometimes when we're out here in this ocean and we feel like we're drowning by ourselves, my goal is to help throw a lifeline and say you're not in it by yourself. And you can do this. You can win this battle. So everybody, when you go out in this crazy world, don't be afraid. Don't back down. You go get yours. It belongs to you. The victory is yours.
Absolutely. And so for everyone that's here, we're at 41 viewers that are still with us. Thank you for rocking with us for 2 hours. We've had a total of 346 people come and go throughout the night. And then for all of those that are still with me, if you have a business, if you own a business, if you have a product, if you have a service that other people in our community can benefit from, make sure you advertise and register with the Black Business Catalog. We are going to get the catalog in front of Black consumers that are going to be looking to spend money. They're going to be looking to spend money. So why not have them spend money with you? We are doing the ads started to $69. So they're very affordable. They are positioned so that you can be successful, so that you can grow your business, so that you can increase revenue. These last couple of weeks before we go into the new year, you are serious about your business, you are serious about getting in front of people, make sure you go to blackbusinesscatalog.com and get registered. Because I love Dr. Boyce and because Dr. Boyce loves you, we have arranged for you to have a special code just for this Blab, but not just for this Blab, but for the special code for Dr. Boyce's followers that will get you 20% off of your purchase. So if you go and you register your business and you use the coupon code Dr. Boyce, you will get 20% off. 20% off. And you're going to make money because I'm going to push your product to make sure that it gets in front of people. You can't win. You got both of us on your side and your team. So
Yes.
I would assume you guys know where you can follow Dr. Boyce, but just in case you don't, Dr. Boyce, will you give them the information for the Black Business School, the Black Wealth Bootcamp, anything that you need them to know?
Yeah, well, the Black Business School is at theblackbusinessschool.com. So go there and register. It's free to register, and then you can decide later on if you want to take any of the classes. And then the Black Wealth Bootcamp starts Saturday, as I mentioned. We have the 48-hour sale, 30% off for the next 2 days. You can use the discount code HOLIDAY. Use the discount code HOLIDAY. You get 30% off. So that's pretty much it. So go check it out, theblackwellthbootcamp.com.
And please make sure that you follow myself, which is I am LaNee Javet. Also CulSire at CulSire. And I think that's it for the night. It has been an amazing evening. Everyone has given us such good feedback. I thank you again so much for tuning in, for rocking in with us for these last 2 hours. We appreciate you. I love my people. I love my community. And I love it when we show up and support. Tonight gives me hope. It always gives me hope when people show up and show out. I don't know what people are talking about, that there's no love, there's no support in the community. I get love and support. Oh, you cannot tell me that my people are not looking for something good, something great. We want the good stuff. We show up for the good stuff. So
Yes.
And Dr. Boyce will continue to keep bringing you guys the good stuff on a regular basis. Now me, I'm a blabber. So you will be seeing me on Blab regularly. So follow me. I like to blab. So I will be here more regularly because I enjoy blabbing. So on that note, we're going to end.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you guys so much.